it's the beginning of September, I've pulled my honey supers off and I have to decide what I'm going to do for winter. So I can actually go and start using Mite Away Quick Strips again. It's the beginning of September, the temperature is low enough. Beginning of August, you really have to watch the temperature when you're using formic acid because you have to have it below 28 degrees Celsius or the formic acid could kill your bees. In September, it's usually below 28 degrees Celsius, so you really don't have to really worry about the temperature requirement. But you still have to look at it because you don't want to kill your queen or kill brood in September because you want to have a healthy population going through it. So Mite Away Quick Strips work really well. You could go out again September 1st or September 10th, throw Mite Away Quick Strips in there, throw formic acid in there. And to treat with Mite Away Quick Strips, you basically just take the lid off your hive like this. We're down to our brood chamber. If you have a one brood chamber, is anybody running one brood chamber? You are? No, anybody else? If you're running one brood chamber, and this comes from a friend of mine that works at Nod, if you're running one brood chamber, they actually suggest unofficially that you get an empty box, so a box that has frames in that's empty. And you stick it on top, and then you treat. To try to keep the Mite Away Quick Strips up off the brood, because it is a very strong dose of formic acid. So they say you'll have less issues if you actually raise it up a bit. So if you're running one brood chamber, they advise you do something like this. Put an empty box on top, throw them on top to treat them with the formic acid. So if you're running two brood chambers like this, you simply open up your Mite Away Quick Strip box. You don't use your bare fingers because it is an acid. These are dummy strips, so there's nothing on them. You open up your Mite Away Quick Strip box. You pick up your pads. I use the dollar store tongs because they're not your fingers. You pick up your pads. You put one at the front. You put one at the back. You throw your lid on. And in 7 days, you've killed 95% of your Varroa mite with Mite Away Quick Strips. You also have the chance of possibly killing your queen. And it actually says it on the label. You probably won't, but you could. So in 7 to 14 days after using Mite Away Quick Strips, you'd want to go back and make sure there's a living queen in there. Or else you now have to look at how to get a queen in there before winter. Okay? That could be your treatment for the whole season. You could throw that in there. You've treated for Varroa mites. You're almost done for the year for Varroa mite. With the liquid formic acid, anybody used the liquid formic acid before? No? The liquid formic acid is it's probably the oldest treatment we've used for Varroa mite. The way I treat with this is you get these chicken meat pads. And these are just the little pads that go in your trays for chicken to suck up chicken juice. You get them, you take your formic acid, you throw whatever pads you need in your container, and then you dispense 35 milliliters of formic acid on each pad. These pads hold approximately 35 to 40 milliliters. So when I'm treating with these meat pads, I throw 100 meat pads in a bowl, in a pail, and I pour 2 gallons of formic acid in the pail, and I pull them out and let them drip off a little bit, and I put them on the hive. I don't actually measure 35 milliliters per. I know that these hold approximately 35 to 40 milliliters, so I just use that as my dose. So the way you treat with this is you take with a single deep, so one box, you take one pad out, and you put one pad on, and you put your lid on, and you leave it. You go away, and then you come back 5 days later, and you do the same thing, and you come back 5 days later, and you do the same thing. If you're using these chicken meat pads, you have to do the treatment process 3 times, once every 5 days for 3 treatments. If you're using a double brood chamber, you would take 2 of them out, and the dosage is doubled just because there's double the volume of air, and you'd put 2 of them on top of your hive like this with 2 boxes on. And you would do that procedure day 1, day 5, day 10 to follow the same brood cycle of the bees. The reason why you have to treat with these 3 times is because these are meat pads and they're not formulated to release the formic acid at a set level. Where the Mite Away quick strips are formulated to dispense formic acid at a high level for a full 7 days straight. And the fumes from the formic acid at that high level will actually penetrate the cells of the brood chamber and kill Varroa mite that are inside the cells that are capped. Whereas this method won't, so you have to follow the full brood cycle of your bees to make sure you treat it. For price, this, if you buy the big box, is about $3 per beehive to treat with this. This is probably 18 cents per beehive, times 3. So you got like 60 cents roughly to treat a beehive with this, or $3.85 with that.
Where do you buy your meat pads?
I buy them from the company that sells the meat pads. And I buy them in bags of 1,000. So we carry them. Yeah, we carry them there. There's a medical company out in Alberta we buy them from. So we have, I think, 3,000 or 4,000 at any given time sitting here. But the price is a lot different. When you're looking at 600 beehives times $3.85 a beehive, that's expensive. It's worth the labor. If you had 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 beehives, I wouldn't do this myself because with the Mite Away quick strips, you treat once, they're done. You don't have to treat a second time.
How long does the acid last?
It's acid. It lasts forever till it falls, drips out or evaporates if you keep the lid off it. If you're using the acid, be aware that it is acid, the liquid acid. So when you're pouring it, it spatters and spits and dribbles on things. It gets on your fingers or your splashes on your arms. It stings. Whenever we're using the acid, we carry I got a video on Facebook if anybody wants to watch me treat with it. But we mix up our formic acid. We transfer the label from the jug of formic acid to our 5-gallon pail, so we know that's formic acid. And we always carry a pail of water with us that's marked water, so that we don't accidentally wash our hands in formic acid. And every time I treat with this, I wash my hands constantly, up my arms and everything, because I've actually burnt myself with this before, and it burns and it eats right through your skin, and you wake up with blisters and stuff like that. So if you're going to use it, just be safe with it. It's not overly dangerous. You just have to be careful with it. But it is very cost effective to use. Works really well, but it is more labor intensive because you have to go out to your beehives 3 times. If you're
time frame for those 3 times?
day 1, day 5, day 10. Okay. And it works really well. You can do that as your fall treatment. You can do that. I did that as a flash treatment in August. So in the beginning of August, I put that on my hive once, just to knock off some of the Varroa mite. I didn't do the full 3 treatments. I did a 1 treatment just to knock them down a little bit, to give the bees a little less Varroa mite to mess around with till September. So